Welcome to The Explainer. In this deep dive, we're going to peel back the curtain on the Ingraham angle and break down how one of the most watched shows on cable news frames the idea of conflict, whether it's a naval standoff halfway across the world or a political fight right here at home. So the show opens with a bang, literally. You hear the actual audio of a U.S. Navy warship giving a stark warning to an Iranian vessel. This isn't just reporting. It's designed to drop you right into the middle of the action and set a tone of immediate, high-stakes conflict from the get-go. Okay, so that brings us to the first big topic, this tense situation with Iran. The picture they're painting is one of a U.S. blockade of Iranian ports, where everything is happening right on the edge under the constant threat of military force. And to really hammer home how serious this whole thing is, the broadcast zeroes in on one number, 27. That's how many ships they claim were turned back. And hey, this isn't just a warning. They point out that one Iranian ship that tried to push through was actually disabled. They mean business. Okay, but it's not that simple, right? This is where the show brings in a really interesting wrinkle, the power struggle inside Iran. On one side, you have the diplomats saying they want peace. And on the other, you've got the hardliners in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, who are talking about new cards on the battlefield. And this quote from one of the guests, a retired Army intel officer, really sums up the show's whole take on this. The argument is basically, yeah, diplomacy is nice, but who's really in charge? The message is clear. The IRGC has the guns, so they're the ones calling the shots. It creates this huge disconnect between what you hear and what might actually happen. All right, so from the blockade, the story shifts a little bit. We're still in the same region, but now we're talking about a different kind of threat. This hunt for hidden sea mines in the Strait of Hormuz. You know, that super important waterway. So how do you even do that? Well, they bring on an expert, a former Navy EOD officer, to walk us through it. And it sounds like something out of a movie. As you can see here, it's a super high-tech, step-by-step process. They use unmanned subs, sonar, and then, get this, remote-controlled robots to neutralize any threats they find. Pretty wild stuff. So after explaining this whole complex, dangerous, and probably very expensive operation, the host asks the question that's on everyone's mind, the big one. Okay, so you're searching this huge area. How many of these Iranian mines have you actually found? And the answer, 0. Zilch. And this is a key point in the segment, isn't it? It perfectly highlights the uncertainty of the whole situation. You have this massive, dangerous threat that could be there, but so far, no concrete evidence has been found. It's all about that tension between potential and reality. Now, this idea of hidden threats, it doesn't just stay overseas. The show then makes a really direct pivot, connecting these global tensions to security debates happening right here at home in the United States. And the first example is the case of Shamim Mafi, an LA businesswoman. This timeline lays out her story and is presented as essentially a glaring failure of the U.S. immigration system. It's framed as a kind of cautionary tale that a major national security risk could be hiding right under our noses. And we're not talking about small potatoes here. The allegations are absolutely huge. The claim is that she wasn't just some sympathizer. She was actively brokering a massive €60 million arms deal for the IRGC, yep, that same group we just talked about, to get weapons from Iran to Sudan. From there, the focus on immigration as a security threat expands into an economic one. The show takes a hard look at the H-1B visa program, and the argument they present is that it's basically a raw deal for American workers. It displaces them, drives down wages, and to add insult to injury, they sometimes even have to train their own foreign replacements. So the point the broadcast really tries to land here is that this isn't just about a flawed policy. It's about a system that's being actively gamed. They highlight this specific bait-and-switch court case to show that the whole visa program is vulnerable to straight-up criminal fraud. Okay, for the last part of the show, things take a sharp turn. We move away from policy and geopolitics and dive headfirst into a really personal, ideological fight within the conservative movement. It's all about a public clash between the host and a well-known former judge. It all kicks off with this quote from former conservative judge Michael Luttig. He just unloads on a speech by Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas about natural rights. I mean, he basically calls it the most important speech that should never have been given. That's a pretty heavy criticism. And the host's comeback? It's not about the legal philosophy. It gets personal, fast. She basically says her old friend is acting like a narcissist who's just desperate for attention from his new friends on the left. It's a psychological critique, not a legal one. And this is what makes it all so charged. This isn't just two strangers arguing. The show makes a point to remind everyone that Judge Luttig used to be a huge ally of Justice Thomas, helped get him confirmed, sent him clerks. So from the show's perspective, this isn't just a disagreement, it's framed as a deep, personal betrayal. So let's take a step back. We've gone from naval showdowns to visa debates to this internal conservative feud. What's the common thread here? What does the way this show frames all this tell us? Well, when you look at the whole hour, a few key themes really stand out. First, the world is presented as a dangerous place, full of immediate threats from other countries. Second, those foreign threats are tied directly to domestic insecurity through policies like immigration. And third, politics itself is shown as a kind of internal war, all about purity tests and personal loyalty. Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. When so many different issues, global, domestic, even personal ones, are all framed as battles, as a zero-sum game of winning and losing, what does that do to our collective understanding of the complex, nuanced world we actually live in?